Both Columbia and Brown University are set to disclose detailed admissions data, including standardized test scores, averages, and racial demographics as part of a settlement with the Trump administration. This move, which is highly unusual for a university to do, is viewed as a significant development in the conversation around race-conscious admissions. This is part of a move by the Trump administration to emphasize what he calls merit-based factors and to see if elite institutions are bypassing the 2023 Supreme Court decision that banned the use of race in admission decisions.
We want to bring back in Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes on this one. As Jason mentioned, it's a departure from the norms because normally colleges and universities are supposed to have some autonomy over they do this. What kind of Pandora's box does this decision open?
It opens up a number of different boxes. I'll start there. First of all, this is unheard of. When they announced this before about the settlements, they didn't talk about this portion. They talked about, turning over a number of lists, doing a lot of concessions to what the Trump administration was asking, but they didn't talk about this portion. And so I want to be clear. I like transparency. I think transparency is extremely important, and I would assume that Columbia is turning over their list in Brown because they are in line with the racial preference requirements that were set in the 2023 Supreme Court case that Jason was talking about, that using race-based determinations in your admission process is something that is now illegal in this country. But you can do a race-neutral admissions process. You can do a race-neutral process throughout the entire academic experience. In that case, that 2023 case, Pam Bondi, her reading of that case, I think, is misleading in the memorandum that she sent out the last couple weeks that gave directions to the universities on how they should go forward. Specifically, she says they can't even think or use their thought process on how it impacted or affected their life. Well, that directly contradicts what the Supreme Court said, because the Supreme Court specifically said that institutions can look at those scenarios. If a person is able to talk about their past, their upbringing, and how it impacts and affects them going forward and how it shaped and molded them as a student to now becoming a person trying to get admitted into one of these institutions, they can actually use that information. And so I think it's misleading when she says you can't use any of that information when the Supreme Court specifically stated that they can. But even if they didn't, let's say, well, what are some neutral-based type of ways that school can use admissions where it's not based on race? Well, we got a couple ones that I looked at. So first we're talking about percentage plans. We're talking about geographic diversity. We're talking about social economic based admissions, test optional and test blind, targeted and outreach recruitment. These are the types of things that Pam Bondi is saying they can't do, but the Supreme Court never touched on any of that. So if you're targeting specific areas where there are no first generation college students that have went to these institutions, the Supreme Court didn't say you couldn't do that, where it is based on social economic standing, not based on race. The Supreme Court didn't say you couldn't do that either. And so there are protected classes within our Constitution and with our amendments. Most of them are race, sex, age. Those are where you cannot discriminate on individuals based on one of those protected classes. Socioeconomic standing and those types of things, that class and that creed, that's something that's not a protected class, under the protected class, but something where these schools could go out and target and have success increasing and finding diversity even within those areas.
We don't have Ivy League schools in the Carolinas, but when you look at Duke, UNC, Wake, those that do receive federal funding, what do you think they're thinking in their legal departments? Are they having to adjust? Are they going, ooh, we need to clear some things up? Or are we in line for the spotlight being on us as well?
Those Ivies of the South, like UGA, like my wife's school, right? They're all scrambling right now. I think in the past, schools would look at the Ivy Leagues for guidance. And whatever they're doing would work. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. But I would say, except for Harvard, that's kind of carving out their own path. I think you'll see other schools following the Columbia and the Brown approach, which is I'll turn over whatever the government is asking me to turn over to stay in compliance and receive the federal funding. But I do want to make sure I'm clear. What they're asking Harvard to do is entirely different than what they're asking these folks to do. We want you to turn over race-based information to show your admissions process, to show the process how they're getting in, and show us the type of numbers of what your student base and population looks like. At Harvard, they were asking for protests. They were asking for information for folks that participated in Palestinian support, That's the information they were asking Harvard to turn over, and that's why Harvard fought that information, because they didn't connect it to a causal connection to the funding that they were receiving.
Khalif, even with the the admission data there, it still could be subject to interpretation. So say you went on socioeconomic classes, that still open up the opportunity for more lawsuits to say, well, I still see you made it on socioeconomic, but it feels like you went based off of race. Does that open up the door for more lawsuits?
I think it opens up the door, and I think it opens up the door for misinformation and misuse of the data. The government receiving this data now could be misused to say that any attempt to create racial diversity, even if it's race neutral, is going to be problematic. So you're making these efforts to go out and get socioeconomic. You're going out in these efforts to go get geographical, diverse individuals. It's not a mistake that there are different types and different looking folks that live in different parts of the country. So if I go and recruit someone in Iowa, they may not look like a person I'm getting in Harlem. And so you will, by circumstance, get a diverse student population just by going and doing geographical-based diverse solutions. And so now if you're saying, well, using that policy has now created some secondary effect of a diverse race-based equation, that's what folks will try to do with those numbers. And so what I am scared of is that those numbers will now be used to say that not just lawsuits, but create a narrative that Harvard is somehow skirting, and these other Ivy Leagues are skirting around what the Supreme Court has implemented. All the folks in these rooms are smart. They look at what the court rulings are, and they find ways to get to the finish line where they want to go.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.